What in the F-150 is happening to Ford's electric pickup truck? Today, we're going to break down the complete drop in demand as well as Ford's just misjudgment of where the market would be, as well as most manufacturers. But before we get into it, if you're new to the channel, my name's Kirk. I talk about industry auto news. I also review vehicles. I just reviewed the Bronco recently. If you're into Ford, I also reviewed the Baby Bronco this past year as well. I like the Baby Bronco a lot more. So make sure to subscribe if you like updates about the industry. And let's break down this article from Automotive News. Ford is crimping production for the F-150 Lightning by half of what it was supposed to because of the massive change in market demand. And Ford spent most of 2023 building up employees, expanding their plant to make sure that they could have a huge production year for the F-150 in 2024 and beyond. So apparently Ford is telling their suppliers to prepare for an average volume for the Lightning of 1,600 vehicles a week at its Rogue Electric Vehicle Center in Dearborn, Michigan. And that's starting in January, next month. Had planned to assemble an average of 3,200 a week. So half exactly toward an annual goal of 150,000. Well, let's get the old calculator out. If it's half of 150,000, what? Going to be around 75,000. So if we take 1,600 times 52 weeks a year, roughly, yeah, about 83,000. But it's going to be less than this because there might be some weeks where it is stopped. So we could be seeing somewhere between 75,000 to 83,000. And that's now because Ford can change these plans whenever they want. Remind me when I was selling cars at the dealership, our pay plans got adjusted whenever the management felt like it was necessary. If you guys ever sold cars in the industry, comment down below. Output of gasoline-powered trucks at Michigan plants and Missouri plants are going to be unchanged. Okay, so demand is high for combustion engine trucks and combustion engine vehicles, and potentially even the hybrid version of the F-150. Now, back in October, Ford's third shift for the Lightning got furloughed. They're no longer working as far as I'm aware, and it's operating two of the three shifts at half of the estimated capacity. And apparently production capacity for the Lightning was supposed to be already at 3,200 units per week, which is 150,000 units. Those numbers were actually supposed to happen this fall, but here we are going into January 2024, and those numbers are now effectively halved. They made the plant even 70% larger to accommodate for that double production capacity. Back in January of 2022, now Ford COO Kumar Galhotra, he said, "The reality is clear. People are ready for an electric F-150, and Ford is pulling out all the stops to scale our operations and increase production capacity." Well, they successfully did that, but people, however, are not ready, at least on a huge scale, for an all-electric F-150. Look, the Cybertruck just came out. Cybertruck, we don't even know what production capacity is on that now. I know it's low, and what it will be in the future. All we know in 2025, Elon said, oh, we want to sell 250,000 per year. But what if the demand isn't there for it? They're not going to sell those expensive Cybertrucks at a loss. Ford has already delayed about $12 billion in EV investments and postponed some production targets. It's not just Ford. We know General Motors is pushing things back. Pretty much all the manufacturers. I just made a video on Mazda and say, hey, the Mazda CEO is like, why have an EV right now? They're too costly. And when the technology matures, we're just going to use Toyotas. That's essentially what's going on for Mazda, but they're going to put their own spin on it. They have their own platforms, but use batteries and motors and software. Most importantly, probably the software is going to be Toyota's. Ford's delaying investing. They are reducing Mach-E production currently and postponing a battery plant that is planned in Kentucky with South Korean battery manufacturer SK On. Now, Ford CFO John Lawler said in this past October, at the end of the third quarter, he said, the narrative has taken over that EVs are not growing. Well, they are growing, he says. They're just growing at a slower pace than the industry and Ford expected. And despite reduced production on Lightning, apparently Ford has sold 4,393 units of the truck in November, which is a monthly record, and its sales have jumped up 54% to 20,000 this year through November. 20,000 through November. You have one more month, so let's say you sell 23,000 F-150 Lightnings. That's a far cry away from the 150,000 that they were once expecting to sell in 2024. Now, what is the F-150 Lightning doing on the market and other places? 3 EVs in the top 10 slowest selling used cars. The F-150 Lightning is the 8th slowest selling car in the United States. And there's some other EVs in here as well, like the EV6, as well as the Polestar 2. It takes about 78 days on the used market to sell an F-150 Lightning. However, strangely enough, if we look at average days on market for new EVs, the F-150 Lightning's way down here. It's actually the 3rd fastest selling new EV on the market. So how could you have one that's selling so well and fast on the new market while the exact same model is selling so slow on the used market? Well, there could be a lot of F-150 Lightning incentives currently. Looking at some leasing offers, well, that's the thing. You don't get any incentives on a used truck. So here are all the incentives that they have on different packages, or should I say trim levels of the F-150 Lightning. You can lease one for as low as $592 per month. Now, you got to drop about $6,000 due at signing. That's for 10,500 miles. Now, when an electric vehicle like this with limited range and charging capabilities, annual miles probably aren't going to be all that high. That's why you see a pretty low annual mile being advertised here. And leasing it is a heck of a lot cheaper than the retail offer. Looking at my area, there are 334 new F-150 Lightnings on the market. That is just within 150 miles of me. You're seeing price drops even on the cheapest Pro models. That is quite telling. We can even see Lariats down now for $54K. If you're buying a brand new Lariat, what is that? What is that? A $72,000 truck. So the price has already dropped 15 grand or so off from brand new. And there's a possibility they could have overpaid, right? Over MSRP to get the hands on one of the first F-150 Lariats. You know, cars.com does a good job at just estimating a payment. If you put zero down on this truck that costs $54,000, F-150 Lightning, why would you buy this one when it costs $957 a month when you can buy a new one, a brand new one? You can get a new Lariat for the exact same, roughly, right? Within a few dollars, $50 a month, you get a brand new truck for about the same monthly payment. But better yet, look at the leasing. Why would you buy F-150 Lightning when it's going to plummet like a rock with its resale value? And why would you buy it used? Because this will also plummet like a rock. So $957 a month for a Lariat when you can get it for more than about $200 cheaper if you were to lease a brand new one that no one's ever farted in before. So the F-150 Lightning is not in a bubble. It is also feeling the pain of a lot of other electric models out on the market, a lack of demand. The early adopters already got their electric car, most of them from Tesla, but even the ones like the Kia EV6 is one of the slowest selling new and used cars, I believe, on the EV end of things. It's a fun thing that's happening for me while the manufacturers are bleeding money with EVs and their desirability has dropped off. They're still really expensive. Interest rates are really high. There's not enough charging infrastructure. There's not enough range in a lot of these models. Most of the EVs are really, really heavy, which affects driving performance, even though they're fast as hell in a straight line. But the list goes on and how EVs just right now we're seeing the reality come down on them. Not as much interest as the government and the manufacturers once thought there would be at this point in the game. But I think we're in a low. So long term, I do think EVs are going to continue to grind away, chip away at the market share at a very slow rate until we have a quantum leap in charging infrastructure and a quantum leap in battery technology where we get tons of range. And without those two things, as well as the cost coming down, though, without those three things, we're just going to be in kind of a lull. At the later half of the decade, we could see a completely different market, but I think this EV market right now is going to continue for the next few years until something major happens. So thank you guys. I'll catch you in the next one. What do you think about the F-150 Lightning? Would you pick it over the Cybertruck or the Cyber Beast? That's the only one out right now, but even then, it's going to be, it's like vaporware. It's not, what do you call it, a paper launch? That's essentially what the Cybertruck is right now, while there are just tons of F-150 Lightnings just sitting around on lots. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. If you enjoyed it, smash the like button, subscribe for more industry auto updates. Have a great day.